Welcome, everybody, to the Empowered Soul Network. This is interview number one. I'm so excited. I'm really thrilled to have Tammy Scarlett here. Tammy, thank you so much for joining and being my inaugural interviewee. I really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you for having me, Sandra.
Yeah, so we've just gotten to know each other it's very recently, right? I know you for maybe the last few weeks. I'm really excited to have people hear from you because you just have such an amazing energy and such a great story and such a profound impact that you are going to make on the world, I know. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Tammy Scarlett. I am currently in Ontario, Canada. Um, Canada. I grew up on the West Coast, so, a little bit of both ends of the country. I am a wellness coach, a life coach, and I'm really hoping to help other women, find themselves and become empowered, and heal wholly.
Hmm. I like that word holy. There's a totality to it, right? It's you can see it as a completeness, but also this from where you come from within almost, right? And what's so you actually have a Facebook group that you just started as well, I know. The name of it. Tell me the name of it.
Yes, it is the Women's Wellness Network. So it's a network for everybody to come together, bring their own healing modalities, their own ideas, their stories, their passions. Perhaps they're an expert in something and they have, something that they could share with everybody else. So it's just kind of like a healing hub where we can get together and heal wholly.
Yeah. So what's your story? Where did this kind of all this inspiration come from for you?
Okay. Well, a few years ago, quite a few years ago now, 10 years, I had breast cancer and I went through that wonderfully, came out of it, fully, in remission and, well, I guess not remission. I guess they just said I'm cancer free. So we'll just go with that. I like to think of it that way also. A lot
Mm,
of the stuff that goes up here comes out in the body. So I started to realize afterwards that I still wasn't really living in my body, and I had a rupture after the reconstruction was fully complete. One of the capsules around the implant ruptured and made me really sick,
mm,
more sick than I was with the cancer and chemo and all that stuff. So that's when I realized, okay, I'm like not living in myself. I'm just doing the stuff I need to get by. I'm wearing a mask, I'm being happy, I'm powering forward, but really only on the outside. And having a lot of downtime after I refer to it as a poisoning. I felt very poisoned. I still am sort of healing from that. More physically now, it's, catching up. Um, but I really just decided I needed to stop the cycle that I was in. And illness, trauma, it just kept going and going and going. And I wanted my life to get better. I wanted to start living again and not be an illness. I don't want to have those labels. I wanted to be, me, who I am fully on the inside, that to come out and be, take off all the masks, take off all the stuff that's, you know, societally imposed or because of, family or, worry about what people think. Which I think it takes a lot of braveness to be able to be your actual self. And realizing that there's so much power in that, it's the opposite. I realized it's like being who I pretended to be is weak and fragile, like an egg, like the shell of an egg. But the inside is, that's where all the stuff is. That's where all the real stuff is. That's where the growth can happen. So I really wanted to focus on my own healing, my own journey, and really pay attention to what I was doing so that I could bring it to other people when I felt ready and when I finally felt well enough to be able to share what I have.
mm. Wow, yeah, that's powerful. You keep mentioning the word the mask, right? That seems to be something that I feel like there's depth, so much depth in that for you. What is it about that? Like, what have you found was was the taking off of the mask for you? What were you allowing yourself more of that you weren't allowing with the mask on?
Um, I think judgment, being worried about being judged by other people was really the thing. I'd grown up being, a perfectionist. And if it wasn't going exactly how I needed it to go, I was out of control and I didn't know, then I was overwhelmed and fear would take over and I would just, and just let the world dictate what I was doing instead of doing, what I felt right or what I felt good about. Um, you grow up in a certain kind of, I grew up in a small town. Let's just say I grew up in a small town and everybody knows you and you are expected to sort of behave a certain way and be the certain person, even though, you grow and change. Um, and I realized that I was still this other person that I didn't really even know. And at the time of my breast cancer, I was also going through a divorce. So looking at my physical self, you come out of a divorce or you're going through that and you're thinking, oh, am I going to be alone forever? Because who's going to want this? Right. And I thought afterwards, I'm like, well, no, I'm not the disease. I'm not any of that stuff. So I don't want to wear that. I'm not going to wear that mask. That's not who I am. And um, I think it took a lot of convincing, I think, for other people to finally see me in a different light. And, they say, I consider myself a healer. I've studied integrative energy healing also, and neuro-linguistic programming. So I had to use that on myself first and really, if I can't do it for myself, how could I do it for anybody else or expect anybody else to be honest? You got to be honest with yourself to be able to see the things that you're wearing and see the masks that you're holding up. And some of them, I mean, you still, I'm a healer, so that's kind of a mask. I'm not going to take on somebody else's energies when I'm trying to work with them. But the only way to, I believe, heal is to shed them all and see what is really actually underneath.
Yeah, it's that real raw vulnerability, right? Is so powerful and so, like you said, there's so much strength there.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of women, they're just starting to realize that it's okay. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to screw up. It's okay to get a divorce. It's okay to whatever you love about yourself. It's okay.
Yeah, that's so powerful to really embrace that feeling. And I can see the how did you associate that as you were going through your healing? Is you really brought up about, that there was stuff going on still within you that was that disease inside and all sorts of that thing. How did you start to connect the dots for yourself there? How did you start to bridge that gap of leaning into that vulnerability more and showing that, whatever, all the masks, taking them all off?
Showing myself to myself, revealing myself to myself. Um, yeah, it started with like I created a program. So it's like step by step for myself, like how I managed to get through. So the first thing was looking myself in the mirror and really deciding to be honest with myself, no matter what, no matter how, ugly it looked without the mask. I was going to look in my eyes and know that I loved myself. And I have to start with that because maybe I can't be lovable if I can't love myself ultimately, right? Then it's because that's a mask that you put, it's a block. So being able to first and foremost be honest with myself and have that complete willingness to heal, to say, because you can't heal or you don't. Like you lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? So, but that even works with yourself because it's very easy to manipulate yourself, lie to yourself. We do it all the time. But when you make a commitment you're the only one that knows, and Gus, um, if you're being honest and truthful. And I think that's where it has to start. You have to really, really want it.
Mm.
And I really, really wanted to figure it out because I didn't want to be ill anymore. I didn't want to be in bed anymore. I wanted to get out and live.
It's I can hear that moment of decision in you. It's like there's just this, there's no going back. This is where I'm headed. That's such beautiful advice for people, not just going through any kind of illness, right? But just, you know, that going through any kind of challenge where it's first look at myself in the mirror and just be honest with myself. Where am I? What am I all about? And love every bit of that. I think that's just such a beautiful message.
Thank you.
That's a good thing to hear, even when we know it already, right? It's like I need to hear that today. Yeah. What do you see for what you're putting together? Because you're so inspired by your story, by your experience. And now you have this Women's Wellness Network. Where do you see it going? What do you want to do with that? How do you want to um, how do you see that unfolding for people around you and impacting them?
Um, well, I think helping other people grow their own things that help them be empowered.
Mm.
You know, because wellness is about, you know, it's like 8 layers deep. It's not just emotions. It's not just, you know, your environment. It's not just your physicality. There's a whole bunch of things that you need to, that need to be supported. So that's why I call it like a healing hub. So ourselves are in the middle, and then we have all these little things that, you know, we work to improve. And it's easier when it's like a little step by a little step. So um, bringing in the people who have the different, you know, things that I'm not familiar with, or just, you know, have touched on, or things that I'm passionate about or have an understanding about, but I'm not an expert in. Um, to have these people come around and uplift the others in my life, because you know what they say, a healer cannot heal in his hometown. And there's nothing more that I would want than all my friends and all my family to find what I've found. With, you know, I know they all have it in themselves, we all do, but having somewhere for people to go that says, you know, Tammy says that this is a great place, but it's not Tammy teaching us. So they're more, I feel like people are more open when it's, you know, somebody that they don't know. Because the little triggers are, you know, let's listen, let's pay attention. What does this person have to say, instead of already having, you know, an underlying, oh, that's Tammy, she has these thoughts and beliefs, you know, even though it might be completely different now. But just having this so that we can all grow together, and then eventually, you know, having outside retreats and having, you know, the little summits, the micro summits and the round tables where we get together and we actually come up with different ideas and, you know, maybe new ways that we haven't thought of yet. So I feel like it's really, you know, it's a platform. It's just like a base where we can all stand. And then from there, just keep lifting each other up and pulling each other up and seeing what could be next, because the sky's the limit, I believe.
Mm. Yeah, it's so great too as you're talking, because it's also that sometimes I could say the same thing 20 million times, and then you say it and I hear it differently, or somebody else. I just need to hear it through a certain voice with a certain set of words attached to it and so forth, and then it penetrates. So I think that's the beauty of having that kind of a network, a collective, a larger group of whole where people can share and express themselves and their wisdom, which is why it's just so beautiful, you know, the groups and the alignment with us connecting and so forth. I think is just so great. What is it about women specifically? Why the Women's Wellness Network? Why are you drawn to help women specifically?
I think because of the change of the whole society, of the world that we live in. It seems to be a lot of the feminine rising, right? The feminine is finally being empowered the way that we were doing things before. Obviously, it wasn't working. Like, it's all fallen apart. Well, not all of it, most of it anyways. And having the feminine ways of doing things, nurturing and supporting instead of just driving and, directing. I think as humans, we need to be held more in that way. And as a woman, it's inherent to us to be able to do that. So if women, we can get together as women and learn how to do this for ourselves, then we take it out to the world and, we pass it around to everyone else. Not that men can't be nurturing, because of course they can too. But just women's issues are a little bit different than men's. We have different hormones and different things that happen to us, different roles that we have in our families and with our friends and things. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I could go out there and, support all the men also, but God, I like, take it in a little bit so I can make it a little more focused.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you can't even explain it too, right? It's just, there's just that calling that there's a reason behind it, and it unfolds as you get involved in it. Yeah.
Definitely.
So tell me something that people, maybe even your friends, don't know about you. Maybe something that just fun and light about you that you'd like us to know.
Okay. Oh geez. Let's see. I don't think there's anything that I have like that people don't really know.
Okay, well, so tell me something I don't know about you then.
Okay, let's see. Well, I love doing contemplation. So I have like another Facebook group that I've been supporting for a while, but it's closed and it's like it's a place to come and contemplate daily. So it's I do like put a daily question out there and people can come and, you know, it's not about us interacting as you know, individuals. It's about the questions that we ask ourselves and how we perceive those answers and what they mean to us and the triggers that they bring up. So it's just like a different healing way to heal, like on your own without having, any outside, because that's what I did to begin with. I didn't like go to counseling or I didn't seek out anybody. I just really went inside and tried to figure out what I needed for myself. And this was the way that I did it through contemplation.
That's really powerful. I mean, just having, and they say that when you have the right questions, those powerful questions lead to very powerful answers. So having a practice like that is just, that's a healing in and of itself.
It's
Yeah.
it's a small discipline, right? It's like
Yeah.
something that I just do it every day. And even though I've gone through all the questions myself, like over the years, stuff comes up every day, like something new, or I'll, there's like a little trigger, or I'll remember somebody from that, whatever the question's around. I'll remember somebody and I think, oh, maybe I need to connect with them. And then I do, right? And then it's, yeah, it's very fun and exciting, actually.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one other little fun thing that I did recently. It's called the Puzzle Project. So it's a really awesome Facebook thing. I took every Facebook friend that I have and wrote their name on the back of a puzzle piece. And then as I'm going through and starting to build the puzzle, I send a private message to each person just to say, hey, thanks for being my Facebook friend. Thank you, right? Like every person that's on there, they're on there for a reason. Whether we connected through a group or we connected through, we're just old friends or family or whatever. There's always something that I could share with them that makes me feel really awesome. And I mean, maybe it's a selfish practice, but it makes me feel really great. And I've had so many amazing responses, and I recommend everybody do it because it's so fulfilling.
I love that. That's a really great idea. I'm gonna have to implement that. Although I'm not a big puzzle person, but I can definitely I'll pull from the stack maybe. But that's such a great idea. And it's really just, I mean, so you've spoken now to two things, right? It's going within and having that quiet space within, but then it's also reaching out and connecting. And there's beauty and there's a need in both, right? Feels,
Absolutely.
yeah. How do you relate to that in the healing journey for yourself?
With connecting with other people.
Yeah, like the fusion of both of those, right? Of what you just said, the contemplation, the reflection within, and then the reaching out, the
Right.
connecting with others.
It's like, it's the thing that makes me feel whole because, our energy goes outside of our body too. It's like, right. You walk into a room, if it's things are kind of crappy or right, or it's energetic and it's
Sure.
upbeat, or, you walk into a room with even just one individual and if it's up or if it's down. Um, so knowing that that energy that's on the outside affects others, even if we're just here on Zoom, right? Like the energy that's being exchanged between us just speaking, our voices, the tones that we use, all the things, right?
Mm.
Um, it makes me feel like even if I can just have a conversation with somebody, maybe the healing energy that's I've discovered for myself will come out and it comes across and somebody else can pick it up and they feel that. So I know what I put out comes back. So I think that's what you're kind of speaking to, the meshing of the two. So, I only want good stuff that I've cultivated on the inside to affect other people to come out into the world. Not saying that I don't ever have a bad day or a bad moment or any of that stuff, right? That still happens, but I notice right away. I'm aware and I can switch it around and get back into you know, the higher level rather than the below. I always think of my existence as like a line, right? Like your heartbeat. So it goes up and it goes down, it goes up and it goes down. And that's how that's life. That's how it works. So, but the second I realize it's like a little bit below, I want to raise it up so that my own aura, my own energy field is putting that out, and I'm not um, harming anybody. It's like other people's energy, we absorb it so easily and we take it into ourselves, and we sometimes don't realize that it's our own energy or their energy.
Mm.
And knowing the difference is, I think it's a big key.
Mm. That's beautiful. I feel like that's a conversation we could go down for another hour or 2 hours just on that alone, right? Yeah. It's it's as you're talking, I'm really just those things that you said about the masks, right? And really leaning into just that raw, authentic vulnerability of self. And then you talking about being able to then also bring yourself into that state of positivity and reaching out and connecting with others in that way. Those are so huge. That's such a powerful message. That's very impactful for me, especially today. It's good to hear and feel today. I appreciate it. How can people connect with you? How can they connect with you further?
Well, we have the Facebook group, so the Women's Wellness Network. So sorry, guys, that's only for women. Um, but on my Facebook page, which is Tammy Scarlett, or I can be reached by email, I suppose, if people still do that sort of thing. But so that's the shiftwork@gmail.com. But just messaging on Facebook at Tammy Scarlett is the easiest way, I think.
Beautiful. Well, listen, I really appreciate you joining me. This has been fun. This has been a good experience, my first experience, and I'm glad you were the kickoff event because you have such a beautiful message. You have such a beautiful energy, and you could just feel the impact there that you're going to make in the world. And I just really appreciate you shining your light with
Awesome.
us here in this group because that's what this is all about too. So thank you again, and I will catch you on the flip side.
Thank you so much for having me, Sandra.
Thank you.